Hello and welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja Dwivedi and today we are going to talk about Preamble, the Preamble to the Constitution, which is an integral part of Constitution and your syllabus as well, from the perspective of Prelims and from the perspective of GS Mains Paper 2nd as well. So, shall we begin with our different topics that we are going to cover under this? Now, this is a static portion basically, but what happens if some sort of petitioning or some sort of changes occur in the constitution? This can become a part of your dynamic syllabus as well. And it has become so because Subramaniam Swamy, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, who is a former member of the parliament, has petitioned in the Supreme Court to remove two words from the preamble, that is socialist and secular. So previously also it has been said that many petitions were filed with respect to removal of these two words, but this has garnered a lot of response in the recent times because of course, the usage of such things, such sort of removal, you can say requests in the parliament as well. So on September 23rd, the Supreme Court is going to undertake this particular petition, and that is why please stay vigilant with respect to whatever decision comes along, because of course it is going to echo in your examination. So what is the preamble? Listen, the preamble is actually an introductory part to the entire constitution. Our constitution is the lengthiest written constitution in the world, so of course we need to ensure that we know what the makers of the constitution were thinking when they were having the constitution made. So preamble is an introductory part and it serves of course as the introduction to the constitution. It is based on the objective resolution of 1946, which was passed by the Constituent Assembly later on as preamble itself, and it presents the intentions of the framers. It gives a peek into the mindset of the framers back then, the history behind its creation, why do we need to create a preamble, and the core values and principles of the nation. So let us first of all look at our preamble in order to understand what are the concomitants of the preamble, because sometimes it can happen. Your questions such as what do we get from the preamble, or what is mentioned in the preamble, and the options are given, and if you do not read the preamble carefully, you might miss the correct answer. So preamble says, we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Do remember the order of occurrence, because it can ask you, the prelims question can ask you that you have to arrange the following words in the correct order of their occurrence. So first comes sovereign, that India is an independent country, it is not a dominion of any other country, and internally as well as to conduct external affairs it is free. Socialist is a kind of economy that India wants to establish. Secular, that means India has respect for all religions and all religions are treated equally. There is a positive concept of secularism with respect to India, not like the Western countries which have a totally negative relation. That means they have divorced the church from the state. Then democratic republic, that means India's the people of India are the actual people who are responsible for the conduct of affairs of the country through their representatives. Okay, so the democracy. Republic, that means that the head of our state is indirectly elected and it is not a monarch like we have the Queen in the UK. Okay, first that. Then comes justice, social, economic and political. Remember that as well. Justice, liberty, fraternity, liberty, equality and fraternity, the order of occurrence. And justice for what? Social, economic and political, liberty of thought, belief, faith, expression, faith and worship. Okay, thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. Equality of status and of opportunity and to promote among them all. Fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual as well as unity and integrity of the nation. So we will understand that which amendment added what word to the preamble as well. Don't worry about that. Now, in our Constituent Assembly on the 26th day of November 1949, date is also mentioned. We do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this constitution. This means that the source of power lies in the people, because we the people of India, it has started with that only. then India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. This is our aspiration to secure justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. Justice of what? Social, economic and political. Because without social and economic justice, political justice cannot exist. This is said by Dr. Ambedkar. Apart from that, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. That means, of course, India is a secular country. Apart from that, equality of status and of opportunity without any discrimination. And fraternity, that means we are one as a nation. So date is mentioned, all these things are mentioned. You have to understand that source of the constitution, the people are the source of the constitution, we are the people of India, like that. Nature of Indian state, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Statement of its objectives, that means justice, equality, liberty and fraternity. Remember that these are the statement of the objectives. And then date of the adoption, that is 26th of November 1949, 26th of November, which is celebrated as Constitution Day. Okay, so the ideas behind the preamble to the Indian Constitution were actually taken from Jawaharlal Nehru's objective resolution of 1946, and we are said to have adopted the concept of having a preamble from the country USA. Okay, and later on resolution was moved in 1946, but it was adopted on January 22nd, 1947. These are the very important prelims facts that you tend to miss, but this can be asked. Now, key terms I have already explained. First, we the people of India, ultimate sovereignty, the people. Sovereign means that India is an independent country, not a dominion of any other country. We are free to conduct our own affairs for internal as well as external matters. Socialist, that means the achievement of socialist ends through democratic means. How this can happen? That means that we have faith in the mixed economy, private as well as public sector, where both the sectors coexist side by side. We are not a capitalist economy, we are not a communist economy, but we are a socialist economy. This is what the preamble says. Secular, as I have already told you that, so let's leave that. Democracy, of course, authority from the will of the people. This is manifested in the form of course, the elections, because we have electoral bodies. Apart from that, we have the concept of RTI, right to information, through which we at least know that our representatives are doing what we as collectively want them to do for the benefit of the nation. Republic, the head of the state is elected by the people, such as our president is the head of the state. He is elected indirectly. In US, it's not a republic because the monarch it's a constitutional monarchy. Okay, so all these kind of things could be asked in an examination. Monarch is there, so it's not the monarch or the queen is not directly elected. They have a monopoly over that because they belong to the pure blood of the crown. Okay, so let us talk about, is preamble a part of the constitution or not? There are three cases where we have to see this. First is the Berubari case in the 1961. This particular case was taken up by the Supreme Court in order to ensure that Indo-Pakistan agreement was correct with respect to exchange of enclaves on both these sides. So here comes the Berubari case, in which the Supreme Court said that although preamble is the key to open the minds of the framers, but it is not actually a part of the constitution, and because it is not a part of the constitution, it is not enforceable in the court of law. This was in the Berubari Union case. Then comes a very important case, another case, Keshavananda Bharti case of 1973. Here, it was said that the preamble of the constitution is a part of the constitution. That means it overturned the ruling, which means the Supreme Court overruled what it had ruled in the Berubari Union case. And it, although is a part of the constitution, but it is not the supreme power of or source of the constitution. That means it does not serve as a benchmark in the sense of power. It is just a document through which we can know what India aspires to achieve. But if we say, is it a source of power, then no, it is not the supreme power or the source of any restriction or prohibition, because it can play an important role in the interpretation of the constitution. If there is any ambiguity with respect to any article in the constitution, we can refer to the preamble and think that, okay, the framers of the constitution wanted this to happen. That means they wanted liberty or they wanted equality. So we can interpret the articles according to the preamble, but it is not the supreme power or source. Then, so it can be concluded that preamble is a part of the introductory part of the constitution. Then comes the 1995 case of Union Government versus LIC of India, in which it is said that preamble is an integral part of the constitution, but not directly enforceable in a court of justice in India. So I hope it has been made clear with respect to the cases. Then comes, why was the preamble amended? The mini constitution, the 42nd amendment of 1976, made certain changes in the constitution as well as the preamble. So it was amended. So as we see, Indira Gandhi attempted to amend the constitution, specifically the preamble, because she tried to become more socialist, in the sense more mass appeal she wanted, because that was the time of emergency. She wanted to be seen as a pro-poor person, and that is why many pro-poor slogans were also coined, such as Garibi Hatao or eradicate poverty. Now, because of that only, a change happened in which the sovereign democratic republic, this particular phrase, changed to sovereign socialist. That means the kind of economy will be mixed with private and public sector. Secular, that means we respect all religions. Democratic and republic. Now, it also changed the word unity of the nation to unity and integrity of the nation. So, remember these 2 points. Moving ahead. Now, if we talk about the debate around the preamble, there has been a debate in the contemporary times, as well as there were debates with respect to before the contemporary times. That means when the Constituent Assembly was debating the entire structure or draft constitution. So let us see about that. Socialist and secular are the 2 words with which many petitioners had a problem when they were petitioning about removal of these 2 words, because they said that actually the adage of these 2 terms was beyond the amending powers of the parliament under Article 368. Under Article 368, special majority is needed with respect to changing the constitution, but not the basic structure of the constitution. That was stated in the 𝐃𝐫𝐤𝐬𝐧𝐥𝐶 Bharti case. Now, here we see Article 368 clause 2, in which parliament can amend the constitution. How? By passing a bill in each house, that means separately, in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, by a majority of the total membership of the house, and by a majority of not less than 2/3 of the members of the house present and voting. This in simple terms is known as special majority. Okay, special majority. So remember, according to Article 368 clause 2, what happens? Parliament can amend the constitution by introducing a bill in each house separately, and of course the same bill separately, and in both the houses, not by combination. In both the houses, the bill has to be passed by a total membership of the house, okay, and plus by the majority of not less than 2/3 of the member of the house present and voting. This is the most you can see these particular bills are the most important bills in the term, because they need a whopping amount of support from the parliament in separation to Rajya Sabha as well as the Lok Sabha. Now, after that, the bill shall be presented to the president. The president who shall give his assent, and thereupon the constitution shall stand amended. This is what Article 368 clause 2 says. But earlier, if we talk about 2015, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting used an image of the preamble in which these 2 words, socialist and secular, were omitted. They were saying that we are presenting the constitution in its original form. And they also said that why do we think that during the time of independence, did Jawaharlal Nehru not know what is socialism or what is secularism? So it was said that already it was implicitly known why this amendment took place, when it was actually not in the powers of the parliament back then. Now, in 2020, BJP MP Rakesh Sinha said that socialism is actually binding a group of generation into the same idea in which our previous generations were also bounded by. So that is the problem. As the constitution is a living being, I'm not saying that, this is what the BJP MP say. As the constitution is a living document, then how can we ensure that the same principles which were abided by our forefathers in terms of changing economy will be abided by the future generations as well. That is why the forefathers did not mention socialism in the preamble, because one cannot tie a generation to a particular way of thinking. Also in 1991, when liberalism took place in India, now India is not purely socialist. So that is another point of view that the BJP MP said. Now, if we move ahead, we will know that debates in the Constituent Assembly also said something the same. Now, a sovereign democratic republic, India, according to Hasrat Mohani, he said that it should be made a union of Indian socialistic republics to be called UISR. Do you remember USSR? On the lines of USSR. Now, that was actually challenged by Deshbandhu Gupta and said it is out of order because it goes counter to the constitution they have passed, because of course they wanted liberty to exist not only at the individual level but market level as well, economic level as well. So that was his point of view. Now Brajeshwar Prasad, he felt that there is a need to add the word secular to be incorporated into the preamble, and it will tone up the morale of the minorities who might think that although it is a secular country by various other provisions of the constitution such as DPSP and fundamental rights, but if we make it explicit, it will boost the morale. So psychological impact he thought would be. And K.T. Shah and Brajeshwar Prasad had raised the demand to add these words to the preamble, socialist as well as secular. Now Dr. B.R. Ambedkar argued, what should be the policy of the state? How the society should be organized in its social and economic side. Just look at this. Social and economic side. Okay. Are matters which must be decided by the people themselves according to the time and circumstances. This particular statement explicitly made it very clear that time and circumstances will dictate the need of the hour. That means India wants to be a socialist economy, maybe in the 1970s and 80s, but it might need to become a liberal economy post 2000 or post 1990. What is going to be the social structure will also be dictated by the people. Here he made it very clear that constitution, if will become rigid, it will lose its essence, that of being a living document, and it cannot be laid down in the constitution itself, because that is destroying the democracy altogether. The basis of the entire existence of our India is democracy. The people are powerful and the people will dictate according to their time and circumstances what India could be: a liberal economy, a capitalist one, socialist, or something else. Okay, moving ahead, let's talk about other things. Many principles affirming secularism and socialism were already contained in the constitution, such as directive principles of state policy and fundamental rights. Do give me examples in the comment segment. Okay, this is your question. I will take your names. So let's look at our previous year question so that you can understand what kind of questions could come in your mains. Discuss each adjective attached to the word republic in preamble. Are they defendable in the present circumstances in 2016? Here it could be replaced by socialist. So this kind of question came in 2016. Moving on to our prelims based question, for which you have to answer in the comment segment. Arrange the following words in the correct order of their occurrence in the preamble: democratic, secular, socialist, sovereign, republic. Now code has been given. Answer it correctly. Bear with me a moment so that I can take your names, whoever has answered my last question correctly. Okay, because the comments are more than 150, I will try to take as many names as possible. But if I miss your name, sorry for that. Do answer this. I will definitely take your name tomorrow. Okay. Aditya has answered it correctly. Rihana has answered it correctly. Saksham, Ram Babu, Bhavna, Shivam Verma, Sunil, Akash, Rahul, Poonam, Harsh, Vishnu, Umesh, Koyal, Neeraj, Mehul, Sunil, Abhishek, J. And Raj Bhai has answered it correctly. Himanshu, Abhay, only group D, has answered it correctly. Then Sharat, Ayushi, Shivan, Akash, Anonymous, Balaji, Saloni, Arunima, Shubham, JVN Super Thoughts, Trishita, Jagannath, Ajit, Shilpi, Gayatri, Manjunath, Neha, Ramesh, Anuj again, Faizu, Mini Sharma, Prabhakaran, Aishwarya, Praveen, Ranjit Kumar, Shrikant, Nitesh, Suraj, Nishant, Chinna Rao. Art Academy, Mukesh, again Mahesh, Pradyum, Anamika, Adarsh, Pushpalata, Anmol has answered it correctly. Then comes Vikash, has answered it correctly. Saptarshi, Shrishti, Harvinder, Aditya, Meghna, Hermit, Mayur, News Update has answered it correctly. Shivansh also has answered it correctly. KS Max, Pooja Kumbar, Anshika, Makwane, Prapti has answered it correctly. Fearless, Mr. Local, Pallavi, Shirisha, also Prabhat, Abhishek, Rabia, Arivaza, Ishita, Shivam, Pavan Kumar, Amar, Putolia, Rohit, Srijita, Tapan Rai, Beauty, Nishant, Bhuvanesh, Javed, Aarti, Anushka, Pragadishwaran, Lawrence, Omni, Mohin Khan, Neha, Sabri, Shruti, Karina, Ria said thank you. Welcome, Basavraj. Also Himanshu, Anu, Pooja, Karina Yadav. No, you said thank you. Thank you for saying thank you. Vignesh, Akash, Vishwanathan, Madhuri, also Amritanjali, yes, Bala Karti. I took as many names as it was possible. For those who could not get their names, please answer this one. I will definitely take your names. Thank you so much for watching.